What do you think about when you think about going home or coming home? Maybe you think about after a long, hard day at work, it's good to get home. Or maybe, like in our life, for example, think about a daughter away at college, and it's exciting to get to come home, to go home in that regard. Maybe you just like to be able to go home and kick your feet up and rest and relax. Generally, when we think about coming home or going home, it's positive. We want to. There's the rare occasion where we're not sure. As a child and you made a bad grade or you had a report card in your hand, they couldn't email them back then. You had a report card in your hand. It wasn't all that exciting to go home. You had broken something. You had done something. It wasn't all that exciting for mom or dad to get home. There's instances where going home isn't the greatest, where it's kind of challenging. I bring up all of this because in Luke chapter 15, we find the story of the prodigal son. And in the story of the prodigal son, he asks for his part of the inheritance. And then he leaves. He takes his half of the inheritance and he goes and he squanders it. The text says on loose living. But he gets to a point where he's slopping hogs, feeding the pigs. He's with them. And he begins to look at what they're eating and what he's feeding them. And he begins to think that, you know what? Even these pigs have it better than I do. So he comes to the decision in his mind that maybe I should go home. Even my dad's hired men have it better than I do. And the text says that he came to his senses and returned home. In his case, it wasn't easy to go back home. It wasn't easy to go back and say that I've squandered all the inheritance that you gave me. I've got nothing left. Can I just work for you, work with you? Can I just be one of your hired men, one of your slaves? This coming Sunday here at the Mount Vernon Church of Christ is Come Home Sunday. It's a special effort to reach out to people that hadn't been in a while, to encourage them, to invite new people to come home. Our come home is not to a place where you kick your feet up, turn on the TV. Our come home is not after a hard day's work. Our come home is not from college on Christmas break. But to come home is back to the Father. Just like the prodigal son came home to his father, our challenge is this Sunday to come home to our Father, to come back into a relationship with Him, to come back into a knowledge and obedience to the truth. To come home requires, in the case of the prodigal son, some humility, a realization where we are, what we have, and what we could have if we come back into that relationship with the Father. The reality is we're without the Father in our lives, we're all just wallowing around with the pigs. So each and every one of us need to consider our lives and think about, do I need to come home? Do I need to get back into that relationship with the Father? That choice is each of us. We each make that choice. Just like the prodigal son came to his senses and came home. Maybe we need to come to our senses and come home. Come back into that relationship with the Father. I want to encourage you, if you're in the Mount Vernon area this week, to come this Sunday. Bible classes at 9:30 and worship at 10:30. Potluck meal to follow. Or wherever you're at and you watch this, if you're wallowing with the pigs, if you're stuck in the mud, won't you choose to come home? To come home to the Father, to come home and get back in the right relationship with the Lord. I want to thank you for taking the time to join me today. I pray that you have a good day, and I pray that God will be glorified in all that you do today.